Hello, this episode of Let's Be Blunt. Thank you for joining me today. Just wanted to catch up with everybody again, too. We have been in full advocacy mode here lately, including trips to D.C., many phone calls, meetings. Ultimately, we're just trying to get money raised. And, unfortunately, this does take a lot of money with travel, with time, with hiring lobbyists, with things like that. But I've been advocating and asking people to write their representatives, and we'll again drop a link in the comments below so you can also write your representative. With this being a federal issue, we need everybody's voice and everybody's help. I also wanted to share a little bit about the response I got from one of my representatives, Senator Ted Budd of North Carolina, Republican. And, I sent an email to him asking him to support H.R. Bill 7024, a bill introduced by Representative Bear to give us a 2-year extension in this industry. It allows us to figure out a plan for bank loans we have, for leases we've signed, for projects we were working on. More importantly, it gives farmers a better timeline of preparing to exit themselves. I met with a couple farmers while I was up in D.C., and they said they can't even think about 2026 crops because they're still trying to move 2025 because so many people now are fearful of buying up product and not being able to sell it. So ultimately, the repercussions of this are already being felt and already having issues across the board. Banks are already defaulting, insurance policies, you have it. People are fearful and they don't know what the future looks like. So it's very important to get active right now and write your representatives. Tell them we want support of H.R. 24. And again, that's just an extension, a 2-year extension from the November 18th deadline looming this year to give us time to, come up with a better plan with regulation, give us an exit strategy instead of just telling us we're done, is ultimately what happened. A year's not very much time, especially in business. Excuse me. With all that being said, Senator Ted Budd's auto response back to me was ultimately he supports that this loophole from the 2018 Farm Bill was closed because it allowed intoxicating hemp and ultimately leaves our children in a harmful position or access to these products. And I've heard this argument over and over and over again. All it's going to do by outlawing a legal industry is create the black market or illegal industry to thrive. Even more importantly, it was brought up several times that outside of this country, products will be brought in for cannabis. So that means coming from China and other areas with no testing requirements, no understanding of what farms they're coming from, or, ultimately what toxins or other things they have in it. The demand is there. The people have spoken overwhelmingly. They have created this $28 billion industry, which I think is an underestimate, especially when you factor in legalized states and the black market. But either way, the people have spoken. These products are an all-time rise. It's killing alcohol sales and alcohol consumption, and that's ultimately what's led us here. So I argue to you, Senator Budd, and any other representative out there, who do you think is going to be more likely to check IDs and making sure that the person purchasing is not under 21 years of age? A legal, tax-paying, bill-paying store, or someone selling off the streets in the black market? And, the people selling things on the black market aren't just selling cannabis products. They have much harder, much more addictive drugs that they also sell. So then you got cross-contamination potential with other drugs like fentanyl and other things like that. So if you really mean what you're saying, Senator Budd and the others that have this argument, if it's about protecting citizens, if it's about protecting the children, then ultimately let's do that. Let's bring all this into a legal, regulated market that can be tracked from seed to sale, and everything is tested, product labeling is in place, proper testing, proper licensing. Pull these things out of the very hands that is causing all these problems. We too are fighting against the same things you are. We don't want every shop, gas station, tobacco, and vape store to be able to sell these products. We think there should be a certain amount of gatekeeping that happens through licensing and regulation to keep everyone safe. But outlawing and prohibiting the industry entirely will do nothing but cause the exact problems. Let history be our teacher here. Have we not learned from prohibition of alcohol? The prohibition of alcohol didn't end with people using less alcohol or stop using alcohol. It actually increased alcohol use, made it very much so more dangerous with so many heavy metals and leads and contaminants in these alcohols that were made that killed a lot of people, not including the violence that came around it, because it became so lucrative and so underground that it was a thriving industry. And ultimately, the only way that we were able to ever take it down was to end prohibition. And now look at us all these years later. Alcohol use is way down. People are smartening up. But the minute you make something illegal, you make it more lucrative and you make it more attractive, especially to teenagers. It's something that's cool and hip and scary and part of a rite of passage. But if you educate people, let them know what it is, make it adult use access only, make it safe for the adults, and keep it out of the hands of children, it becomes boring to children. Children no longer want it, and it shows over and over again throughout history. Making something illegal doesn't make it go away. So I'm asking you once again to please write your representative right now. The only thing we need is a 2-year extension. That's all we're asking for. Also, in President Trump's executive order, he calls for more studies and more regulation to be brought around these hemp products, not to kill the industry entirely. So as part of the country moves one way in rescheduling marijuana, the other part of the country is doing things like reverting back and banning hemp. So get involved. Let your voice be heard. It's now or never, folks. Don't take we have a year to granted. We don't have that long. Write your representatives. Tell them how you feel. Tell them support HR 724. We need this extension. As always, peace, love, and cannabis. Be sure to like, subscribe. Stay tuned for more instructions. Thank you all for your